wunderbar, Ausgewogen, wonderfully balanced. That's exactly how this thing sounds. It has a fantastic balance between the bass, the vocal presentation, and the twinklies and sparklies in the high end that don't overpower anything. And it does it in a way that I haven't heard before, and I love this presentation. I gotta say that it's so wonderful to have something that sounds so different from everything else I have. It just presented in a way that you were right there on acid with them. Simba approved. So there you go. What more do you need? Hello everyone, this is the Tone Deaf Monk. This is my 10th take of me trying to do this video of an ISN H50. I normally do one take. It's been that difficult. Not only to describe how this thing sounds to me, and I'm struggling. So hopefully it comes across the way I intend it. So if you're looking for something great, but not the same as everything else, if you're looking for a harmonish tuned V-shaped IEM with super bass and vocal forwards and lots of highs, this is not the IEM. This has its own special sauce. The ISN H50 stands apart from its competition, stands apart from everything else that I've listened to. It's wonderfully tuned, it's unique, and let's get into it. Why is it unique? What makes this sound different from everything else that I've listened to? Before I jump into that, the name of this video is going to be ISN H50. I'm going to name it Wunderbar Ausgewogen, which is German for wonderfully balanced. End of review. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Love it. Love you. Okay? You want more? I'll give you more. You deserve more. This deserves more. So, okay. 5 drivers per side. It's so secret. You'll never find out what's inside it, other than I can tell you this. It's got a 10 millimeter dynamic driver with a composite diaphragm. The composite diaphragm is a secret formula. The 4 BAs, I can't tell you where they're from, but there's 2 for highs and 2 for mids. Okay? Not that I tried to find out. There's just no information on that, and it really doesn't matter. for its sound. The handmade shells are simply gorgeous. The ISN, you've done everything in my book pretty bang on. The shells themselves are these black with gold flecks. Not my face. There's the little vent I'm trying to show you, but it's not doing anything any justice. It really isn't. It's got a depth to the top faceplate with the gold flecks embedded into it, with the ISN logo bedded into the top of the faceplate, and then it's resined over. Very cool. The shell itself is a semi-transparent black. I have a hard time seeing what's inside for what I just told you it has, but I rest assured that I've been told. In fact, it has those drivers. The connectors themselves are MMCX. There you go. Stop being a hater for MMCX. Man, it rotates around. It's a super solid connector. As you can see, it sits absolutely flush with the body itself. What a terrific design. When you have a high quality MMCX, oh, did you hear that? Snaps in with authority. And if you haven't ever had an MMCX connector, when you put it in your ears, put the correct one in the right side. Yeah. It's super easy to just, because the MMCX connector swivels around, not like a 2-pin. So when I put these in, the sound isolation isn't, I can't hear anything. I ended up using Osla Crystal medium large tips. The stainless steel nozzle on this bad boy is quite long. It's elongated. It's nice. Great shape. A little wing there that fits inside of my ear, and it just melts into my ear. 5.3 millimeters wide is how big that nozzle is. It's a big chunky boy. So when you're choosing tips and you want to use wide bore here, 100%. 2 reasons. You want to keep the stage. You do not want to lose any of the highs because you'll lose some of its special sauce. And something that will still give you the bass. And I found these were great, and I found that the were they soft ears UC tips with the harder stem on the center. Also, the tips that come with it too are also very good. I couldn't get them to work for me because I just need a 13 mil size to get in. One of my ears is different than the other. So anyway, aftermarket tips. Talk about the cable for a second. ISN made cables before they made IMs. This one's called the S8. It's included. It's a silver-plated 8-core cable that also happens to match all the little blingy stuff with the gold and the black. And even look here, gold and black. Says S8. I mean, look at the MMCXs. Right? Left, right, gold, and black. Very few times where I use a factory or the cable that came with it. This one pairs so incredibly well with this IEM. It's perfect. As you would imagine from a cable maker that then made IEMs. So 8-core SPC, silver-plated copper. Comes in different terminations, 4.4, 3.5 single-ended, and 2.5 is available as well. All for the same low price of $299. Available from Penon, and the link will be in the description. So, sound impressions. Here we go on take number 10. I should also mention the case that they include. The IM fits in this case, and it's nice and small, and it's carry case, but more importantly, it fits in the case, and you can use it. So it's not just a throwaway case. So there you go for that. So, sound impressions. what I am going to do. If I read you all of my notes for how this thing sounds, it would be a 2-hour video. I wrote that many notes. What I'm going to do is I am going to also do a rare one, which is do a written review where you can read all of my notes, and I'll put that link in the description later. Probably not right away when I post this video. And I'll do my written review, and you can see all of my notes there for how this ISN H50 sounded. But if I were to read my notes off of here verbatim, and what I'm doing is I to go back a second. So if you're not familiar, two things I will let you know. So my preferred sound signature is bassy, slightly warm, vocal presentation. Bass has to have snap, punch, and speed. If it is boomy, I'm not a fan. If it bleeds too much into the mid bass, not a fan. If it mucks up vocals, definitely not a fan. Vocals have to be crisp, clean, clear. And my highs, it has to have enough energy and sparkle to bring staging, bring proper instrument separation, to bring dynamics, and to obviously bring micro details. And ISN H50 checks all of those boxes in a special way. But let's go over how does, I really want to spend some time to explain to you how the ISN H50 sounds, and this was the hardest part for me. So it has a uniqueness in its kind of W signature. So it has bass, it has sub bass over mid bass, though it doesn't graph like that. And the bass that it does have is incredibly textured and flows up the chain. That'll make more sense in a bit, I hope. The upper mids are tamed a little bit, but then it has upper treble emphasis. So what this does to the sound signature of the H50, I'll talk more about its bass because it's really something special. But if we get into this, so it has, in its presentation, you have your bass, your speedy, textured bass, and there's lots of mid-bass information, but it's not bloated at all. In fact, it is just textured. You hear nuances, resonances of bass in stereo effect that it travels up into the vocals, and then vocals become also, you can hear, you know, the details in the voice, the raspiness, or in females, it's just very clear. But the way the H50 presents is, so you have that bass, and then you have slightly, I'm not going to say recessed vocals, they're just not forward into the mix. And then you don't have a whole bunch of BA timbre or splashiness going on in the top end, but because of the upper high frequency emphasis, what happens is musical instruments, and it brings a texture to it, and it brings an energy. And part of the special sauce about the H50 is the way it presents that into a mix. So when I say this video is called the ISN H50 Wunderbar Ausgewogen, wonderfully balanced, that's exactly how this thing sounds. It has a fantastic balance between the bass, the vocal presentation, and the twinklies and sparklies in the high end that don't overpower anything. In fact, the best way to describe it is, because the vocals aren't forward in the mix, you can hear the instruments better. and it does it in a way that I haven't heard before, and I love this presentation. This one is a super keeper for me. I have spent a ton of time listening to it. The way I got to here right now, I got it in. I pulled up the graph and I went, oh, that was my mistake. I listened to it and went, wow, that sounds fantastic. I burned it in for like 4 days straight. Then I spent a bunch of time listening to just different music, all kinds of music. And then I spent more time listening to all kinds of music. And then I started getting into specific genres, like how's it going to do on jazz? How's it going to do on metal? How's it going to do on this? And there's a couple tracks that I want to point out. And after I did all that burn in, then I went into my track analysis and listened to it by track, and then I put on my my critiquing ears, and I want to know how this thing sounds on that particular track, because I know those tracks very well. I've listened to it 1,000 times, and how did it do on these tracks, and how did it do from everything else that I've listened to. And a couple of the tracks that really, really, really stood out for me, which is kind of in a nutshell, I Don't Care Anymore by Phil Collins, where he has stereo drums, and the stereo separation in the drums, and the texture in the drums, and then vocals, and Phil Collins' vocal texture, and the nuances that it could bring out. It was just mesmerizing. It was just a wow track for the H50. Two others I just want to mention. Flight of the Cosmic Hippo, Bella Fleck and the Fleckstones. This is an excellent recording. It has banjo, should hit hard, nice lows, nice mix of piano weight. Amazing bass texture and hits. Banjo is just so clean, clear, crisp, and sharp. Piano sounds clean without getting washed out. Those are great things. Poem of Chinese Drum by Hawkman Kim. The secondary resonances of the bass skin that you can hear when he's pounding on various different drums sounds so real. The decay is amazing. The attack and then the release, and then you can just hear the extra details that it brings out in those in stereo. Outstanding micro details, just off the charts. A very strange song called Song of the Stars. It's a remastered version by Dead Can Dance. There's a sub-bass line at the beginning that Angel by Massive Attack, that one's okay. This one puts it to shame. The whole track goes low. Excellent track to listen to stage and microdynamics, constant left and right. Vocals are Fender are very, they make the vocals they dead center. Everything else is tripping you out. It was an oh my god replay. The vocal replay was amazing. Instruments are just brought to life with so much emotion and stage, and again done in the H50 special sauce way. So for an IEM that doesn't sound like it has like much sub bass, it just does it in a way where the sub bass doesn't muck with the vocals, and it doesn't muck with the instruments, and then the vocals don't muck with the bass and don't screw up on the instruments, and the instruments are done in such a way that it doesn't screw up the vocals and doesn't distract you from the bass. To me, that's a balanced IM. It's not all roses with the H50. There is a couple tracks that I found that the H50 added probably a touch of too much weight. That's what I wrote in my notes, and then I wrote a couple things with probably the recording. Well, I won't know that in my critical listening until then I start doing some comparisons. And then I kind of got the idea or the feeling that the H50 was more monitor-like than some people have said. So in that way, I mean that it just plays back the recording, not coloring it too much. And if the vocals are set back, it'll set you back. If it's vocal forward, it'll present it vocal forward. All doing it in the H50 way. The Circle of Life by Tina Gao, the violin and the flute, it was massive stage. So we'll talk about stage here. I wrote so perfect, dynamics and splashes. That's what I wrote. Simba approved. So there you go. What more do you need? But what I found, just for genres, 60s, 70s psychedelic rock, where they were tripping out on LSD and a bunch of other stuff simultaneously. It just took that special stuff and made it even more special. It just presented in a way that you were right there on acid with them. There you go. It's a gateway drug. Don't do it. On modern music, so it just brought a sweetness to vocals and the instrumental mix. I think that was what I loved so much about the H50 is I loved this fast, speedy bass. I loved the vocals, the way it presented. And I loved the way instruments just went into the mix, sounding very clear, crisp, and natural. In the H50 way. I laugh at myself because I really have a hard time describing what else this thing does. And I sound like I'm repeating myself, which I probably am. But that is my impression of the ISN H50. In a nutshell, I gotta say that it's so wonderful to have something that sounds so different from everything else I have and I've listened to. I really love the tuning of the ISN H50. I think it's definitely worth a consideration for sure. If you like the kind of bass from like a Yan Yan Cannon, and you kind of like the bass that beryllium drivers bring, that incredibly fast and speedy, but you maybe want a little bit more information, the decay, the weight. That's how this bass presents. Not a basshead IAM, but just a lovely balanced IAM. And I'm going to shut up now because I think I'm done with this. I've done the best job I can do to describe this to you. A couple notes also. I get pressure buildup, not on this IAM. And I suffer on certain IAMs that don't have a proper vent. This has a fantastic vent, no driver flex, no pressure buildup, super comfy shells. I'm going to put the link in the description. Thank you again, Pennon, for providing this. And I hope I've described it in a way that makes you want to try it, because I think it's pretty special. There you go. This is the Tone Deaf Monk. Thank you very much. I love you and appreciate every one of you. So take care, and I'm out.